people of the internet, my name is JD Shadow. I'm gonna try to make this short and sweet, but I'm not sure how this is gonna turn out because, quite frankly, it's a bit of something that is bothering me. So please be advised that I could be going on for a little bit longer than I intend to. So in case you were not aware of the special report that I posted the other day, there is going to be, as I try to post this on the day that is going to air, The Dark Side of the Ring, the episode that has to do with Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior. Now, as people might know, I'm a WWE fan. I've watched WWE for a while. Now, I haven't caught up with it recently because of the whole issue with COVID and they're not having a live audience and stuff like that. Just doesn't seem the same. However, I've been keeping up with what's been going on. And first of all, one of the things that I need to discuss is that it does seem like a lot of people think it's cool to bash the WWE no matter what happens. Now, I know there's a lot of things that you can criticize the WWE for, and yes, I do that a lot. However, it does seem like any YouTube vlogger that goes about and talks about wrestling has really nothing good to say about the WWE right now, even though they have done some pretty good things. They've had some times where they did hit the jackpot. Now, there's all these controversies that stemming with the independent contractors. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that, and the booking seems to be wish-washy, and it seems to be haphazardly done, and it just going off of a whim and stuff like that. However, at the same time, it does seem as though they're criticizing them at the spite of the wrestlers who are trying to work their asses off in order to entertain the people who would otherwise not have any entertainment, because even though some things are starting to get back to normal, we're still not quite there yet. And now that the WWE finally has some competition in AEW, now all of a sudden everybody's saying, oh, AEW can do no wrong and WWE is doing everything wrong. Has anybody seen what AEW is putting on lately on the pay-per-views? Has anybody caught that recently? I'm not saying that any one company is better than the other here, and I'm not trying to play favorites or anything like that, and I'm getting ahead of myself and I'm getting sidetracked here, but the fact of the matter is that it does seem like it's the thing that's going to get the most clicks. Oh, what did the WWE do now? What did they do this time in order to rile up everybody? And how can I use that in order to get people to click on my video and then watch the advertisements in order for me to get a good revenue off of my YouTube videos? And there's also one other thing they seem to do recently, which is they want to become Roscoes, the authoritarians. In that, okay, you made a mistake, an error in judgment in your life, so you will never be allowed to have any good moments to you again. You will forever be marred. You will never be able to live your life without that black cloud hanging above your head. You are essentially canceled, to use the term loosely, unless of course you're Chris Benoit, who murdered his wife and kid before he committed suicide. Now, I'm not saying that he should be erased from history, but don't gloss over that whole thing. You're going to say, hey, we need to still hear about what he did, how good of a performer he was, and how he wasted it all away. And yeah, I do agree with that. However, at the same time, we're now seeming as though the Ultimate Warrior needs to be canceled for things he said in the 2000s, of which he probably regretted it by the time he got to 2014. And in the Hall of Fame ceremony, he tried to make amends for the bridges he burned and the things he said. That's where we are. And the majority of those people who are just on blogs and are making YouTube channels and who are talking about pro wrestling, suddenly is saying, you know what, that stuff that he did in 2014 in order to mend these broken bridges and to redeem himself, we're going to ignore all of that. We want to hear about the stuff he did in the 2000s. We want to hear about these horrible things he said. And yeah, I'm not condoning them. They were horrible things he said. Have you heard of some of the things he had said? They were horrible. I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm not going to condone that. And the things I'm about to say are not going to discredit any of the things I just said about how horrible they were. That doesn't take away from my condemnation of the things he said, but it does seem like they gloss over the 2014 part of his life when he tried to make amends, because they seem to be quite wanting to accuse A&E of glossing over this 2000s part of his life. And no, he did not have the best career in the world. No, he might not have been the best person at that point in time. He may have had a big ego and think he was bigger than the sport, that he thought he was something that he was not. And yes, he had a lot of demons, such as a lot of us do in life. And no, we don't have to condone the things he said, but we have to wonder if after everything was said and done and he's not here to defend himself, are we essentially trying to say, oh, well, since he's not here to defend himself, we're going to try to say to WWE, you better take back all the goodwill you've ever done in his name when he tried to make amends with you, because we're always going to hold that black cloud over his head forever. We're going to talk ill of the dead. We're going to ignore the fact that he tried to give forgiveness, and he might have gotten it. He seemed to have gotten it from several people. So it pained me to see that several people on the subreddit, Square Circle subreddit, wanted to ignore the A&E documentary and say, hey, I'm waiting to see the Dark Side of the Ring documentary, the one that focuses on stuff that he did in 2000s, the dark point of his life, and to focus on it, to make that his whole identity. And the reason why I know this, the reason why I do believe Dana Warrior when she says that she is going to ignore the smut and the filth, is because how fair do you really think Vice is going to be toward him when, first of all, they are getting his ex-wife to be an interviewee? How much do you think she's going to be fair to someone who is an estranged ex-wife? How fair do you think she is going to be toward the image? She doesn't have to condone the things he said in 2000, but at the same time, recognize that maybe he wasn't too bad of a guy, just a very controversial figure. Plus, how fair do you think Vice is going to be when they posted this in 2017, when they said that the WWE whitewashed the Warriors' words and speeches in the 2000s? Does Vice remember that the WWE back in maybe, I believe it was 2004, they created something called the Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior? It was a hit piece and everybody knew it. And some of the stuff they were making fun of him about made no sense to be critical about. And even DDP had said that they knew it was wrong of them to publish that. And you want to know one of the other things they were focused on? Yes, those speeches. I remember on an episode of SmackDown in 2004, I believe it was, when they were advertising, when they were making a promo for it, right after they ran the piece, they went back to ringside and Michael Cole stated that he was still making speeches and the stuff he was saying was rather ridiculous. So yeah, the WWE actually knows about it. And if you really think that he didn't make amends with the WWE, with Vince McMahon, with Jake the Snake Roberts, with Hulk Hogan, which these very same people on the YouTube channels and stuff like that have wanted to cancel because he said one thing out of line, and we know how these woke skulls are like. The second you do anything wrong, the second you say anything that you probably shouldn't have said and wanted to take back, they will forever try to hold that against you no matter what. You have no chance of redemption with them. So no, I don't think they're going to be fair to the Warrior. I don't think they're going to think of this as anything more than a cancellation attempt. And we should be smarter than this. I mean, I watched wrestling for a very long time and I've seen my share of people who have been abhorrent in the wrestling industry. I've seen the amount of people who have been nice people, people in between. And okay, the stuff he said in 2000s are not exactly his best works, let's put it that way. But are we really going to do this? Where if you say one thing out of line or one speech out of line, then it doesn't matter what you try to do in the rest of your life, that's always going to be brought back up as if you just said it. And like I said, even though I agree that we should not erase his history, those very same people who are saying, oh, we need to erase everything about the Ultimate Warrior, still want to watch Chris Benoit matches even though he killed 2 people and then killed himself out of roid rage. And do you wonder why I'm towing a fine line here? Because I'm trying to agree with both things at the same time, and then at the same time trying to call out the people who are saying, oh, we don't want to hear anything positive about the Ultimate Warrior, but we're ready to watch a Chris Benoit match at the first sign of it. How about hypocrisy? And to be quite honest, you're talking about a news organization, I'll use the term news organization loosely, who, and I posted this on the special report, and I've done 2 other videos about this, where 2 of those people, 2 of their so-called journalists, were allegedly breaking into the house of the HN owner in order to get evidence about something that occurred on his site back in 2014, in which there was a controversy on whether or not what happened in 2014 was a plant, was something that was a conspiracy waiting to happen, in which the person who was alleged to have planted the stuff that they are accusing HN of condoning and encouraging the hosting of has never been proven one way or the other as to whether or not he had actually planted to begin with, because they couldn't get sufficient evidence to prove otherwise. And yes, I know HN can be a dumpster fire, but at the same time, why think that is okay to do with anybody? You have no idea what somebody's gonna do to you if you try to enter someone's house uninvited. You call them, you ask them whether or not they want to do an interview, and if they say no, that's the end of it. But if this is the yellow journalism that Vice is going to be known for, if this is going to be something they're going to put out when in 2017 it showed that they already have a bias, do you not think that they're going to try to confirm their bias in this Dark Side of the Ring episode? I understand that Dark Side of the Ring is very much lauded and they probably put out some very good episodes. But when you're bringing in an ex-wife who probably doesn't think too highly of him, when you have a news outlet that in 2017 posted that article, and a news outlet that is willing to still employ, I'm not quite sure if they were ever let go of the company yet, decided it was a good idea to try to break in allegedly into a person's house in order to get information about whatever it was they were thinking he was accused of. Not to condone the Warriors' actions, but is this really the group of people we're going to trust to give us the correct, fair, and unbiased account of his life? Did Vice ever talk to anybody who might actually know him currently before his passing? I mean, Dana Warrior did say she wasn't going to add to that filth and smut, and knowing what I just said about Vice and maybe they're biased already, is it going to be something in which maybe she knows something we don't, but we want to hear about it because we want to find a reason to cancel somebody? And I know the words cancel culture gets maligned anymore because it means so many things right now, but this to me is a cancellation attempt. This to me is trying to slime a person who tried to get redemption in 2014 and got it. He was able to attain that. He was able to attain forgiveness. He was a person who was able to recognize that maybe what he was saying was the wrong thing. Maybe he changed his opinions. We would never know because, one, the only people that he had to show remorse toward are the people that he wronged. Why does he have to show public remorse when the people that he wronged were the people in the backstage and the people he hurt the most? Why is it our business? And I bet you Vice is not going to show anybody that he got forgiveness, that these wrestlers that he talked to agreed to bury the hatchet. I bet you any amount of money that Vice is never going to show you that. They're going to show you what they want you to see. They want more people to add to their witch hunt army. And I bet you not one YouTube wrestling blogger is going to tell you, hey, this might have been a hit piece, because they have also been part of this whole attempt to cancel somebody who has been given. And now all of a sudden they're going to take back that forgiveness after he's passed away. And they're going to slime the widow of that person who passed away that got forgiveness. That's why I'm making this, because I want people to understand that this is going to be a hit piece. And I would be very surprised if it's not. I'm going to be very surprised if Vice actually is fair. But given that, again, they have the ex-wife, they already wrote an article in 2017 saying, hey, they whitewashed this whole shebang as much as other stuff that they're doing. I might be correct in this, but I'm going to be the lone voice in saying it, because if the wrestling commentators on YouTube are going to be fair, they have to start acknowledging that perhaps they need to address the cancel culture that's going on in pro wrestling right now. And I hate to use the term wokeness for this, because the term wokeness has a lot of condemnations about it right now and is seen as an epithet when it probably shouldn't be in some cases. But I think I have to say it here, the majority of pro wrestling YouTube channels right now have become woke or woke skulls. And I don't know what it is about it. I don't know why it is that all the wrestling YouTube channels and all wrestling vlogs are seemingly getting in on the action here. And that does not mean we condone racism or homophobia or anything like that. We condone those words or actions, but when they are that into canceling people for mistakes that they can't seem to get out of because these people won't ever let them, won't ever let anybody hear any kind of attempt at getting forgiveness or trying to bury hatchets. What is it that is making this click worthy? Yes, I agree. Warrior was a flawed human being. We all are. If we were not flawed, if we were perfect, then we were kind of be boring. And no, the stuff he said in the 2000s were not stuff that we should condone in any stretch of imagination. But we should also recognize that he asked for forgiveness and he got it. That he tried to mend burned bridges and he was able to do that on some regard, and the only thing that stopped him was his death. And it would be quite nice if people like Wrestling with Regret, if people like What Culture, if people like WrestleMania would at the very least recognize that maybe cancel culture is getting too far into wrestling, and perhaps the words cancel culture are not just some catchphrase that Fox News wants to appropriate, and something that the moderate liberals are also worried about right now because it's damaging their own party. We have to stop. We have to be a little bit better than this. And yes, I'm calling you out by name because I feel like it has to be done. Who else is going to tell you that something's going on right now? We have to do something about it. There has to be somebody that's going to tell you that this is not okay. There's got to be somebody who's going to tell you, hey, maybe Warrior should be forgiven, or maybe Hogan should have a second chance, or maybe Velveteen Dream might be innocent in some regards, or maybe Justin Roberts might be innocent in some regards, instead of always taking the easy way out to get you video clicks. I mean, that sort of thing's getting saturated anyway because you're all in on it. Why not be the one person that takes the other side? And the only thing is, I'm not the one who's doing it just for page clicks or for video clicks. As I've always said, if you hear me talk about it on a video, I actually believe it. I'm not just saying things to get a click on a YouTube channel. It's nice to get it, but it doesn't mean that I'm saying it just for the sake of saying it. The Ultimate Warrior Dark Side of the Ring is going to be a hit piece. I would be very surprised if it was anything other than that. And it would be very helpful for some of these people who are becoming woke skulls in the pro wrestling YouTube video blogosphere to recognize when something like this is actually happening and to stop feeding this woke skull cancel culture witch hunt mob. And as an aside, Fox News, would you please stop using cancel culture as a way to get you an audience? We're not buying it because you're making it 10 times harder for those people on the moderate left that actually give a crap about trying to actually do something about it. Maybe if it wasn't for you, maybe some of these wrestling YouTube personalities would not be so ready to join people like the Young Turks. And yeah, I like watching their content too, but I do have a call them out when I feel as though they're doing something wrong. I would hope that they would like if I did that, because we should all strive to be better, not just shut somebody out when they give them even the slightest criticism. My name is JD Shadow, and that just happened.